What's up, y'all? It's video number 3, not just NEMT, with your girl Stephanie. So I'm coming through. We're going to talk about, I promise we were going to talk about not just NEMT. That's why it's called not just NEMT, because it's so much other stuff with running a business than just a checklist, right? But we got to cover the stuff that you need to know to get started, and a lot of people like a checklist. It is pouring down raining here. I'm in North Carolina. It's raining cats and dogs, as they say, but I wanted to come through and make sure I get my information out so that way you can get this NEMT business, this non emergency medical transportation, up and going. Or if you're already up and going, there might be some stuff that you forgot to do that I'm going to talk about. So, first video was to make sure that you had the foundation of your business set up. You can't have an NEMT business if you don't have the foundation of your business set up. And I talked about a couple of things, like registering your business with your state, getting your EIN number, business bank account, and website. With NEMT, your website, I think it's with any business really, but with non emergency medical transportation, your website is huge because you want to be able to send people to your website as far as clients that you may have. But the other thing is, if you have a really good website, then you can also do invoices. So I have a combination of the two. I have a website where clients go and it's just that one person, or they just want to book several trips over a period of time with this one person. If you're dealing with a facility like a assisted living facility or something like that, and they want you to invoice them. I use my Wix website, and I love Wix. I'm gonna put the link at below this video. So just in case you're interested in Wix, I can give you my link and get your Wix account set up. I can also help you with your Wix getting it set up. But we're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about this NEMT, getting this business, but having a functional website is important when it comes to NEMT, and you want to get a really good one. I have Whole Route. That's who did my website. I love Whole Route. I will put the link underneath the video if you're interested in getting your website with Whole Route. Whole Route, what it is a website where people can pay, and you can have your website made however you want to, and they build it. The neat part about Whole Route is that they have a software built in, so when a client wants to book a trip, they already have my two locations built in. So depending on where they are coming from, it'll put the client puts their address in, where they're coming from, where they want to go, and it calculates it based on the location that's closest to them in my office. So if they're in Charlotte and I'm coming from Charlotte, then it's gonna do the rate based on that. If they're in Winston Salem, then it's gonna do it based on that. So needless to say, website is crucial. I have my Wix website because I am a business consultant. I also offer trainings, mentorship, one-on-one consultations, and things like that. I also make custom products, my T-shirts, and things like that. So anytime I leave my house, I'm always representing my brand. I'm always representing my business. So it's easy. You see my Cricut behind me. I got a heat press over there. So it's easy for me just to make them, but I also make orders for other customers, more so businesses that also want to wear their brand. So we're gonna get into this starting your NEMT business from scratch. So if you think about any business that you are in or thinking about doing, the first thing is research. And so if you don't do anything else, you have to research NEMT, how to become a provider in your state. Every state can be different. I'm in North Carolina, like I said, so I can pretty much tell somebody that's in North Carolina what to do. If you're in Virginia, their rules may be different. A lot of states may require you to quote unquote register your business with DMV. And I want to say Virginia is one of them, where you have to register your business um, as non-emergency medical transportation, showing that you transport people, and you have to pay, like Virginia charges a fee. I did a one-on-one with a husband and wife actually, and she sent it to me because I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" But Virginia has a set fee that they charge yearly for non-emergency medical transportation business owners. But the biggest thing is you have to do your research. So when I first started, I did my research for my state, and I'm just gonna give a plug was is just because you do the research at the beginning does not mean that you don't need to continually learn about this industry because things change all the time, and you want to be able to stay up to date on what's going on in case somebody asks you or if you have to renew things. So you got to stay up to date. So when you do your research, really, if you decide that you want to accept Medicaid, you need to find out how can you get a Medicaid number as a transportation provider. In North Carolina, we have a system called NC Tracks, and you go on NC Tracks and you fill out your application. You fill it out, put your business information, your EIN number, contact information, and what type of they call it taxonomy, but you choose that number and you would choose not NEMT, but you would choose transportation or non. I don't think it's even listed as non-emergency. I think it's just listed as transportation. And once you complete that process, that application, then what North Carolina has decided to do is they send it to a third party company. This third party company does the research and vets your business. And when I say vet your business, they do all the background. They come in and do the home test. They check your vehicles. And when I say home test, like they're not checking your office because I have a home office. But what they're doing is making sure that you have locked file cabinets for your clients' records. And so they confirm that, and then they come and check your vehicles, and they don't like lift the hood up and do nothing crazy like that, but they do come and check to make sure that the vehicle is that you actually have the vehicle and what you applying for, and it don't look crazy, like it's not all beat up, you ain't got a bunch of dents in it, stuff like that. So they come and do that, but all that is a part of your research. One thing that North Carolina does is I'm gonna tell y'all a story. When I was going through my process, I had this lady that was assigned to me, and she asked all the questions, and she sent me an email, and I had to send her like my NPI number, um, and that is another part of your research when you're trying to get your Medicaid number. And I'll talk about the NPI number in a minute, but I had to send her that information, my email address, and all that. So we kept in contact, and as the process went on, so then I had to do a face to face, where it was via Zoom interview. So in my mind, I'm thinking interview like you want to know about my business, you want to know about me, you want to talk about. It was a test. It was a online face to face test, literally, like no joke. And when she got on, when she scheduled to meet with me, and I'm still thinking like, now they did send me a handout that was, like different questions like what is HIPAA, certain things about getting your Medicaid number that you should know, right? So I kind of skimmed over it, but that was what she was asking me. So it was like an open book test, and one thing she asked me was like HIPAA, and she broke down what HIPAA is, right? And she said, "Well, what's the acronym for HIPAA?" Like, but she said the words, all the words, and I was sitting there like a dummy. I was like, she said, "Well, Stephanie, you can Google it because it was a book test, remember?" So I was able to Google some stuff. I was like, "Oh shoot, I feel so stupid, HIPAA." But I say all that to say is that be prepared when you have that one-on-one interview. Be more prepared than I was. But I passed. I got my Medicaid number, and I was good to go. The other thing that I needed to research was I knew I had to get an MPI number. So I said I was going to talk about the MPI number, and that's a provider number. It's like National Provider Indicator, and It's free. You don't have to pay for it, and really, you can just Google MPI number, and it'll take you to the website. And I want to say it's like nppes.org or .com. You apply for that, you get that in a couple of days, and that's a part again of you doing your research and kind of building your business up to when you're ready to start. The other part of your research is you have to decide what type of clients you're going to transport and what type of non-emergency transportation business. And if you notice, I did not say non-emergency medical transportation, and I'm going to tell you why. So, in my mind, when I first started, and I knew what NEMT stood for, and I knew it meant transporting people in my community that needed to get back and forth to doctor's appointments, right? What I didn't think about was all the other stuff that I could do with this non-emergency transportation business. So for me, I take medical out of it. Um, so when you decide that you want to start an NEMT business, and this is the industry that you want to go in, you have to decide. You have to decide what type of customers or clients that you're going to focus on. You cannot service everybody. Everybody can be your customer. So you have to decide with the information I just told you that you can transport people anywhere. So that's a part of that research. When I was in college, one of the things that we talked about, I don't remember this in high school, they might have did it, was a SWOT analysis. I feel like the SWOT analysis is very you can use that when starting your business. Like it's a really good tool because it breaks down pros and cons. It helps you with that research. So if you know anything about SWOT analysis, then you just look it up, break down the squares, and you can do your research with your business that way. But you have to decide what type of client. So are you going to focus on assisted living facilities, nursing homes, um, dialysis clinics? Are you going to go to the hospital and have conversations with like a transportation manager? Like you need to make sure that you're jotting all this down. The one thing that I did not do when I first started was I didn't get enough private paid clients, um, and have those contracts kind of set up and ready to go. So when I got, my MPI number, Medicaid number, vehicles, and things like that, that I was ready to go. Um, and another thing when I did my research that I did not know that I could do was focus solely on private pay clients. So when you're starting a business, like a lot of people, I get a lot of questions all the time where people will say, well, I'm waiting on my Medicaid number. Why? You don't have to have a Medicaid number for private pay clients. Private pay clients mean just what it say. They are paying you. It's no broker. It's nothing like that. And we'll talk about broker and private pay and the back, the difference between the two in another video. But you don't have to, you don't have to really wait to get your Medicaid number. You need to have your MPI number, but you don't have to have a Medicaid number to go and talk to, assisted living facilities, nursing homes, dialysis clinic, hospitals, because they're paying you. It's similar to like a taxi or Uber. So if they're paying you, all you really need to do is have really good system set up to accept payments. I ain't talking about Cash App. I ain't talking about Zelle. I ain't talking about Venmo. I ain't talking about none of that. I'm talking about a legit website. So remember at the beginning of my video, I really talked about how important it is to have a website. Well, if you're gonna have private pay clients, you have to have a really good website where people can go online and pay, or you can use PayPal where they let you do, PayPal offers invoicing, but I have my website through Wix, like I said, and I can do invoicing through there. The other thing is, as you're doing your research, your vehicles. Some people feel like I gotta go out and buy these vans, I gotta buy minivans, I gotta go out and put my business in debt. I'm not saying that you don't have to. I'm not telling nobody what kind of vehicle to buy. I don't want you to think I'm here to tell you, but all I'm saying is you don't have to purchase new vehicles to get started, especially if you don't have clients already set up. If you don't have potential clients or contracts at different facilities set up, and you don't have any money coming into this new business, then you kind of, if you go out and buy brand new vehicles or get a vehicle finance, then you're putting your business in debt before you get started. So that's why I chose to, when I started with my personal vehicles. And I'm not telling people to do that. I'm just saying that's an option. Personal vehicles, I had a Nissan Altima and a Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. The downside with vehicles or sedans is if you're transporting older people, elderly people, people going to physical therapy and appointments like that, they may have a tough time getting in and out of lower vehicles. That's why people like minivans. So, but I started with my vehicles. Like I had one lady I remember transporting her, and she had a bad back. So on those days, I would drive my truck. That was already it was already up, so she was easier for her to get into. But you gotta decide about the vehicles, and you need all this has to be done. I don't say it has to be, but all this should be done before you even take your first client. This research is solely for you before you start, before you get out there. You already have a strategic plan on what you're trying to do with your business. So we talked about vehicles, we talked about website, we talked about accepting payments, not cash out, but how you can accept payments, how you can invoice clients. The other part of your research is his DAC on insurance. Insurance is a huge part of your expenses as a non-emergency transportation provider or business owner. Insurance. So, insurance is, you have to have one, auto liability insurance. In North Carolina, the requirement is $1,500,000 for Medicaid. So remember when I first started, I went through the process of getting my Medicaid number first. So the requirement was already to have $1,500,000 before I even got a person in the car. So now that I do private pay, I already have the $1,500,000. So I don't have to worry about the 350,000 or the 500,000. A couple of places that I checked with was like Progressive. And I really just kind of called around because people say, well, where do you check? Like I just really Googled commercial auto liability insurance. It's going to be some companies that will say, give me a few days. They will check the rates for you and then come back to you with the best price. I didn't. I started doing that, but I needed my insurance done super fast with the Medicaid process. So I reached out to National General was one that I found, and they're like a subsidiary of Allstate. So I reached out to them. I got my quote like a couple of hours. My deposit was probably like $1,200 uh, of deposit, and that was for the two personal vehicles that I was using at the time. So, is a lot of things that come in. It's just like your personal insurance, driving history, accident history, all that comes into play when it comes to your auto liability insurance. So just check around, um, and really Google is your best friend. Just Google and go from there. The other one is business liability insurance. If you are a business, you should have business insurance, and you can check. It's different places that have business insurance, but you need to get that. And I mean, I think my policy is like a $2 million policy. You can choose different rates. I mean, different premiums, but that's what I chose. So we talked about a ton of stuff in this short period of time when it comes to research. I'll probably do another video about research because I feel like research is like it's similar to that foundation. Like you have to know where you're going and you gotta sit down and strategically plan this thing out. And I'm only saying it because I did not do this at the beginning. So hopefully these videos will help you to do what I didn't do at the beginning. But I did get my insurance. I did have my business insurance as well. Those two things were super important. Um, and I got my office supplies. I, what's the name of the place? Quill. So as you own a business or as you kind of move in your business, business credit is super huge. So when I first started, I started my business credit journey. Got me some net 30s, and that's where I got my office supplies like pens, copy paper. I already had printers and things like that because I already had a business prior to my transportation. File cabinet that locked. So those are the things that I had that really worked. But that research is huge. So the last thing we're going to talk about with the research is the finances. So people get really stuck when we start in this industry on how do I charge? What rates do I charge? My rate in North Carolina is not going to be your same rate in Georgia, Virginia, South Carolina. It's not. You have to really do your research, and the research may entail, which you should, checking what your competitors are charging, checking to see what Lyft and Uber taxis are charging, and then you choose your rate from there. But you should definitely have a base rate. You should have a per mile rate. You should have a no show fee. You should have a weight fee. Those are four that you need to make sure that you have off gate. The base rate is me getting to you, period. From my house to you, what it's taking for me to leave my house. Per mile, self-explanatory. What you're gonna charge per mile. Most NEMT businesses, um, from what I've seen anyway, may not charge what a gallon of gas is. That's why when you um, when you work out contracts with like facilities, you want to make sure that you include a fuel surcharge. So as gas prices increase, you go back and say, okay, well, gas has gotten higher, so my per mile rate or my base rate may change. But you want to make sure you include that in your contract. But gas is high as heck right now. But finances are huge, so you get those rates and you again you research, come up with your number, and that's your number. As far as per per trip. What you have to kind of come up with too in this NEMT world is you have to think about if somebody is really close, right? So if you charge somebody $25, let's say your base rate is $25, but they only going 2 miles. So you may want some people have a rate if you are 5 miles or less or 10 miles or less. But again, that's all about that research. So this is not an industry that you can really just kind of wing it. I try to tell people like, don't try to wing this thing. Invest in yourself, invest in your business, so that way you can make sure that you are set up for success and you are doing it right. You're making sure that you keeping really good records. You keep everything. I got a file cabinet. It's sitting right here. Y'all can't see it, but I have a file cabinet and I keep stuff electronically. You have to do you have to. Like it's when you're dealing with like Medicaid and people and anything with business, you want to make sure you keep really good records. So when you're doing your research, you have to make sure that you're documenting how you're gonna run it and do a plan. Like make sure that your plan is on point, you write it down and you go from there. The last thing we're going to talk about before I end this video is marketing. And that's why I said I probably have to do a follow-up video for research um, or getting that foundation. But marketing is huge. So when I first started business, period, like I just thought, I'm going to go on social media and I'm going to talk to people about it. But marketing is way different. So one thing that you have to do with NEMT that's different from other businesses is you got to do door to door. Like you got to be a salesman for your business. So marketing is definitely going to include social media, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Like oh, and here we are on YouTube. Um, but you also have to Google those areas that you want to service. Google Google close nursing homes within 20 miles. Google, hospitals within 20 miles. And you have to physically go like it's going to be really tough to call people or send emails. If you send emails, just make sure you follow up with a phone call or a visit. But I found what works is physically going and talking to people and we haven't we conversing about what their needs are and how I can help fill those needs. And that's the same thing you want to do is you go and talk to them and say my name is Stephanie. I'm with SNS Carrier and Transportation here in Charlotte, and I want to know how I can help your business. So look, can we talk about your transportation needs? Now, if it's assisted living facility, a lot of their clients and people, residents, are able to drive. Some people don't have a car, so they need to get around and go to Walmart, Target, things like that, and you can offer those services. So this is it for research for the night. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna come back and do another video on research. It probably won't be a full 30 minutes, but we're gonna talk. Make sure I get everything covered with research. And again, you're gonna come back to the drawing board and research some more as you go along. But research is really important. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, Stephanie Garrett 71, and make sure you like and subscribe to this video and share. Share the information. It was great talking to y'all. See you next time.